just at the University of Colorado Hospital, Dr. Sean Pauzaskie. Dr. Sean, thanks for stopping by. How are you today, sir?
Great. Thanks for having me.
And now, kind of looking at specifically enough, basically, give us the some of your background and why you're on the show today. What do you want to like to talk about?
So I'm here to talk about my novel in the context of neurotechnology and the ethics surrounding neurotechnology. So I've written a book called Stage of Fools that will be available from High Frequency Press October 20th. And the book explores a couple different neurological issues, including a newly discovered condition where patients maintain their awareness in a coma. This was never before known until about 10 years ago. And I thought that would make good fodder for a novel as it intersects with this notion of neurotechnology, which is also becoming sort of a, a major issue in terms of society and just kind of revolution and all these things. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Yeah, and it's interesting. A neuroscientist, kind of define what you do as a neurologist, in a way, and this, and I guess in the science side of things too. In this, like just to kind of know your background and like fitting this in technology, because technology is about to change in so many ways regarding the brain and I guess how the body in general.
Yeah. So I am a clinical neurologist and I also do clinical research. So I spend my days in the hospital, seeing patients who are in comas, which is how I became interested in this issue. I take care of a lot of stroke patients, a lot of epilepsy patients, just anybody who needs to be in the hospital for a neurological condition. But I also conduct research, which is how I came to this issue of neurotech, specifically consumer neurotechnology, which are things you can get off the internet, order to your house, and be tracking your brain waves in no time, and the issues surrounding that. And so that's a little bit more about.
All right, so I have something that kind of really makes this a real gameplay, Dr. Sean, to get the conversation going. I am doing some bioneurofeedback using the Mendy, and it's helping with the brain work and stuff. What are your thoughts on those types of things? I'm thinking even getting a brain scanner. I ordered one. I forget the name of the company, and it's not coming in for about 4 weeks. But I'd rather go and do some of that stuff myself to help my brain because I did have a few concussions as a professional wrestler. So, and I also want my brain to be optimized because I see my career just at the beginning at 52 because of where the growth that I can do growing my agency. But go ahead with that point. I just wanted to ask you that.
Yeah, I think that's great that you're doing that. And this is an area that I'm actually really excited about. People having new tools. I'm very aware of Mendy and what it does. And just for listeners, that's a device that can actually track the blood flow in your brain. It's a headband, which most of these devices are. And what it does is it allows you to really know what's going on in your brain in real time and be able to, that term bioneurofeedback, kind of broadly means the ability to condition your brain in different ways that were never possible before. And as a clinical neurologist, this excites me because these are tools that we never had before, that anybody can have to improve their brain health. And, just kind of an anecdote, when I was in medical school, people would say, neurology, why do you want to do that? You can know what's going on, but you can't do anything. Well, this revolution in neurotechnology has really changed that equation. And so a lot of these devices are there to help you improve your brain health in a really data-driven and fundamentally new way. So it's very exciting.
I forget the name of it. I'll have to email you the name of the other the I want a brain scanner as well, not just the biofeedback, because I found one that was most easy data I can throw into AI after that data is done and kind of look at it and look at specifically where do I need to improve, where do I need to go, how can I improve my brain functioning, especially working a ton as an entrepreneur. And I'm very intrigued by all this because ultimately our brain is what keeps us living. Technology is going to catch up with everything else in the body. So if you can keep your brain alive, you have a lot better potential of living a longer life.
Yes, exactly. And longevity is also becoming a big area of interest for this technology, because you're absolutely right. Our brain is everything that we are. It's our thoughts, our emotions, our intentions, everything that makes us human beings comes from our brain. And so these new tools, I think that society and fundamentally what it means to be human is going to change a lot in the coming years with new opportunities. And so that's why I thought a human story was necessary in writing the book.
Absolutely. I mean, so I find, I mean, like I said, I don't think you thought that you wake up today, do an interview with a host that is conducting and doing these things. So I'm glad. So in your book, so I know the biggest one that probably is the most controversial is Neuralink, right? Neuralink is going to be an interesting one. What happens with Elon's program? I'm sure that's part of touching upon in this book too, is something like that.
Yeah, so that's a great point. And there are basically broadly three types of neurotechnology. There's neurotechnology that can read your brain waves, and there's neurotechnology that can read the blood flow in your brain, like Mendy, like the one that you're using. There's neurotechnology that can influence the brain. So things like ultrasound and magnetism and electricity, pulses of these things can be introduced into the brain in a very fine way to stimulate structures in the brain. And then you have your Neuralinks and what we call implantable brain-computer interfaces, which are those things that need to be implanted, beneath the skull, whereas the other two aren't. And so the technology you're absolutely right. This trilogy is really going in that direction. The book is the centerpiece of a trilogy, and its technology is essentially ultrasound waves that could wake you up out of a coma. Is a simple way of thinking of it. And so that's really
Wow.
the technological influence here. But the first part is going to be about mind reading. So the trilogy is covering all three types of tech. Mind reading, the middle one is influencing, Stage of Fools, and then you have implantable BCI, which is what I intend for the third one.
Oh wow, I love it. And then you got your most biggest fan. Because here's the thing, and this is the whole the biohack. I'm into Dave Asprey. I'm into even the one that wants to live forever. Brad John, is it, what's his name? I
Oh
forget.
yeah, I think Brian Johnson.
Brian Johnson, different people like that. And I'm looking at all the different areas of the body. And it's too bad we don't have, as a neurologist, I'm sure your counterparts don't. It's hard to discuss these things, right? Because we're really people are that are there's there are different people that go to a doctor, right? I'd rather pay for all these devices and improve and do these things versus taking a pill or just letting myself age, because we have an opportunity with the technology today that we can live a lot longer, maybe to 150, 180 years old, if we really optimize the body about in our 50s. I think you're earlier too, but I think I'm starting at a good spot.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I applaud your efforts. I think it's great, and it's really what these devices are there to do. And absolutely, I think a lot of people. A good friend who lives in Silicon Valley once said to me, if you think about it, most people on their deathbed would say, "Gosh, I wish I had." Maybe exercised a little bit more, ate a little bit healthier, done things to extend the lifespan of my life, which you can't do at that point. But I think that the reasoning is that, well, you can do it now, in midlife, or there's really no limit. Like anybody, who's capable of using the devices definitely should, because there are benefits at all ages. But to your point, you can do things now in your youth and midlife to really keep your brain as healthy as it is to ensure that you live the longest life that you're capable.
Because the brain is, a lot of the deaths are caused by once your brain dies, right?
Oh yes, it's the leading cause of disability in the world, which oftentimes, definitely, absolutely shortens the lifespan. And neurological diseases, I often liken it to. There used to be this analogy that I would talk about dementia. It's like, what's the best way to fix a burning building? Just don't let it burn down in the first place, right? So prevention is a big part of this, and these devices are there to help really slow the decline. The decline is inevitable, but if we can slow that and improve the function of the brain over the lifespan, to me, that's the definition of a better life.
I'm trying to Google right now the brain scanner I purchased, but my question to you on this brain scanner, what's the difference between that and the Mendy
The one in the book, or
or a brain scanner device?
oh, yeah. So Mendy is reading blood flow in what we call the frontal cortex, or the just the front part of the brain, which is important in terms of things like focus and attention, or what we call executive function, like planning things. A brain scanner would be more technology that would show you the actual structure of your brain. So, like, what are the different lobes? What do they look like? Or what you might have ordered would be what a lot of these devices are brain wave reading devices.
Mm.
There's a part in the book where the character suffers an increase in brainwave activity, and a lot of these devices are there to tell you the brain runs on electricity that creates waves, and so these brain reading devices or scanners can oftentimes tell you the patterns in those waves, and with AI, really some incredible granular insights into everything from cognition to mental health to what you're interested in.
So Emotive is what I purchased, and they said it's 4 weeks. I went ahead and bought. It's a pretty expensive device. And it said it's the most user friendly for a brain scanner. So I'll be able to tell through this device what's where my strengths are in my brain, where what types of exercises I need to develop, and all these things, right? And throw them into ChatGPT, Claude, or some of these other programs, and be able to come up with some more plans, right? To look at what.
Um, Yes, absolutely. The really the revolution in brainwave technology is that with AI. So as a clinical neurologist in the hospital, I hook people up to EEG devices or what Emotive sells, for consumer use that you can have in your house. But I order them in the hospital, and the insights that we can really gain from those as humans are pretty good. But with AI, what we're able to tell are granular insights that could even tell you, how old your brain is. That's one potentially exciting new development. I actually have a pair of headphones here that you can see that have EEG scanners actually in the headphones. And with the use of AI and different tools, I use them every morning as I'm writing my clinic notes. And it tells me just a rough snapshot of how my brain is doing that day in terms of its age, in terms of its, even things like anxiety resilience, um, stuff like this. So you're absolutely right. You're going to be able to tell a lot about your brain from the emotive device.
All right. This is great. I'm going to have you on a lot of other podcasts. So I don't want to ask so many more questions to get you a more deeper conversation with a bunch of people as I produce a lot of other podcasts and other opportunities. I just wanted this to kind of be an initial discussion. So I'll have a lot more questions to ask. But where can people pick up the book? So the book, again, involves in a way that is going to entertain people, but yet also awaken them to where we're going.
Yeah, so the book is going to be available on all of the various online outlets. It's going to be available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, from the press itself called High Frequency. So you can go to highfrequencypress.com. You can go to Amazon, just Google Stage of Fools and my name, and it should pop up. You should be able to order it anywhere.